Mr. Scott is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Lady. First, let me say what an excellent panel we have. Very knowledgeable. Thank you. Mr. Gensler, it's great having you here, my good friend. We did a lot of yeoman's work with CFTC as you as chairman, myself as chairman of our committee on cross-border and on derivatives, swaps, the whole 9 yards. Good to see you again. Let me tell you what I think is the Achilles heel in Libra right now. This morning, if you recall my testimony, I kept asking Mr. Marcus and several of us on the committee, and he kept referring to the white paper. And so I looked at this white paper, and I think we found an Achilles heel here, several. But here's one that we may have omitted. In that white paper, it states that globally, 1.7 billion adults remain outside of the financial system with no access to traditional banks. And I questioned him on that, and he assured me that in order to obtain what he called a Calibra wallet, there must be strong know your customer requirements in place, including a government-issued ID. And this is particularly acute when you're dealing with online activity. I mean, when you are dealing online, one of the big reasons why many consumers are unable to access the financial services is due explicitly to a lack of identifiable proof of identification. So I want to ask you all, how do you see Libra expanding access to financial services to the unbanked, underbanked, 1.7 billion adults across the world, particularly on an online platform, when you can't simply hand over an ID card like you can to the bank teller, and while at the same time navigating the need to verify customers' identification who may not have a government-issued ID and unable to get one. How do we mesh this with online? I mean, I think that is an Achilles heel there. So I don't care if we're moving fast in technology, but I don't think, if I take this, I can't give an ID card. Go ahead, Mr. Gensler.
3 quick points. Sub-Saharan Africa, half is unbanked, but half of the unbanked have mobile phones. So that's the good news. The sad news is you're absolutely right about government IDs. I think the Calibra wallet they're promoting will be inside of this money laundering laws, but there are also going to be a lot of other wallet providers. And so my other 2 points is those other wallet providers will be in lax jurisdictions that might not take the necessary precautions to get the government IDs. And the third point is it's absolutely true that this will have a lot of leakage, that there'll be lots of Libra tokens, just like there's lots of Bitcoin tokens that are floating around outside of the Bank Secrecy Act. Right. And that's just going to happen.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yeah, I think you're exactly on point. I think it's an insolvable conundrum. Yeah. If you look at what they've said, in addition to exactly what Mr. Gensler was saying, they want it to be that you can walk up to a convenience store anywhere in the world, hand in money, and get Libra. That's the vision. Okay, that's one hat. They also say the Calibra wallet will interconnect with other wallets. So even if Calibra does know your customer, a different wallet that doesn't, you can still put the money back into Libra. I think the possibilities for sanctions evasion, money laundering, and tax evasion are unlimited. And history tells us if the opportunity is there, it will absolutely be exploited.
Yes. Thank you. I
gentleman-
agree with you.
The gentleman from